we make things. We use our hands, minds, and machines to build, to fix, to improve. We're known as do-it-yourselfers, home improvement fans, fix-it fanatics, inventors. At our core, though, we're all makers. So let's jump in and make something. It's better to rebuild than replace. That's my mantra. Well, maybe not always, but I do get a kick out of giving new life to something on its last legs. Case in point, my gas grill. I take it from barely working to nearly new in a matter of hours. Then I'll shift my restoration focus and head for Cajun country to help a New Orleans couple revive their weather-worn deck. You're going to like this show. Well, I'm rolling out my toolbox because I'm a man on a mission. My grill over here has been with me for some time. My wife thinks it's time to replace it. It's kind of worn out. I say rebuild it. So let's get cooking.
First to go are the grills. Then it's goodbye to the ceramic briquettes, long overdue for retirement.
Now the grate that supports the ceramic briquettes, well, it's pretty badly deteriorated. As a matter of fact, I've even tried to make some repairs on it before by cutting strips of sheet metal and sort of bridging the places where it was totally gone. But I think the time has come for a little better quality repair. Well, now I can see why I haven't been getting the results out of my grill. Look at these burners. They're completely plugged up right here and here from debris and rust. And over here, they're burnt through. Look at these big holes. Now also, there's an igniter on this grill. If I push this button down here, these units right here are supposed to spark and start the gas. That hasn't worked for a long time. So I'm going to take everything out.
Now I can turn my attention to the firebox. The inside walls are caked with years of baked-on gunk. A flexible putty knife takes it off very quickly. To cut down on the mess, I use my shop vac to catch and dispose of the loose material.
Well, I've gotten most of the nasty stuff off the inside of the firebox. Now I've noticed that there's some oxidation on the outside right here, so I'm going to go after that next.
For this, a wire brush is the best tool.
Now, because there have been a lot of cooking oils and grease around this, I'm going to do one final thing before I put a coat of paint on here, and that's to sort of wipe everything down with some denatured alcohol.
A bit of masking tape will keep the spray paint from messing up the control panel.
Well, I'd say we're ready to start painting. Now, a grill like this gets really hot, so you can't use just any kind of paint on it. What I've chosen is a high temp paint, which should hold up pretty well.
Now I find that if I hold a spray can about 10 inches from the surface and make long, smooth, overlapping strokes, I get good even coverage. Rather than just reversing direction at the end of the stroke, I move off the edge and momentarily take my finger off the button. This keeps me from getting drips and runs.
Wow, the outside looks terrific. Now it's time to make it work as good as it looks, and that means I've got to find some new parts.
I've located a garden center a few miles away that stocks repair parts for my grill.
Hey, you got it.
All set, Ron. Briquettes, right and left burner,
Right.
lava grate.
Okay, what about the igniter?
Igniters are both on the burners.
Oh, they come attached?
Yes, they do.
All right, all right. Thank you very much. Got my work cut out for me.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it, Joe.
Okay.
Ah, now for the fun, putting all the new parts in. Just look at this compared to the old one. I'm surprised this was working at all. Everything was rusted, plugged up here, broken away. Well, bye-bye old burner, and with a new one. All I've got to do is drop this wire through this hole right here and slip the end of the burner over the valve, just like that. That's all there is to it.
The igniter wires push onto terminals at the igniter button.
Well, the burners are in. They're working fine. I've checked them out. Now I'm going to install the new grate. Remember this? It was completely burnt through. Now this sits above the flame and supports the ceramic briquettes. Here's the new one right here. What a difference, huh? And it just sits right in place, like that. My new ceramic briquettes are ready to go, and it's probably a good time to replace them. You can see on the old one here how they were getting sort of crumbly. Well, about all I have left to do is to put in my grills. There's one, and two. Attach my table, and I'm ready for some grilling.
A few hours ago, my grill may have looked like a lost cause. Now it looks practically brand new. What's even more important, though, is how it cooks. I'm going to fire it up and find out.
Now this is what I call enjoying the fruits of my labor. Over time, a little bit of paint stored in a large container gets pretty bad. And if I left it this way long enough, it probably would be totally unusable. Also, when I've got it stored in cans like this, I forget which paint goes where. So I've come up with a good leftover paint storage solution. I've started saving plastic water bottles of all different sizes. Now the key to keeping leftover paint in good condition is to minimize the amount of air in the container. So I match the size of the bottle with the amount of leftover paint that I have.
A roll of masking tape keeps the bottle from tipping, and a paper towel will catch any drips. If the paint has a lot of loose debris, I may put a paint filter inside the funnel.
Now once I've gotten the paint in the bottle, I remove the funnel, and this is the secret part here. Take a half a dozen marbles and drop them in. I label the paint using a felt tip marker, and when it comes time to do a touch-up, I simply give it a shake. Those marbles in the bottom agitate and mix the paint. Open the top, pour out what I need, close the top, and do my touch-up. Now when the paint level gets, say, halfway down in the bottle, then I just transfer it to a smaller one. Now one of the things that I find a bit annoying is the sound of sliding utensils inside my kitchen drawers when I open and close them. This non-slip shelf liner works really well to stop that, and if I've got several drawers of the same size, I cut the liner to size by first making a cardboard or plywood template. Place the template on top of the liner. Take a razor blade. And there it is. Now, in the same way that the template precisely fits every drawer, so does the piece of material that I cut from it. But I still find that it's possible to get some wrinkles in here. So I like to take one additional step. I put a light coating of spray adhesive on the back of the liner, just a little bit. Then, while it's still tacky, I drop it into the drawer. There we go. No slip, no slide, and best of all, no noise. Kenneth and Andretta Allen of New Orleans, Louisiana have asked for a little help, so I'm going to pay them a house call.
Ay, 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 ay. I don't know. This may be beyond help here.
At first glance, it doesn't look good. The deck boards are splintered and have faded to a dingy shade of gray. Kenneth shows me a few other problems. Some of the boards have actually twisted out of place, and nail heads are popping up all over.
I can't tell you how many times I've pounded these things down. They have a way of creeping back up, though.
Things look pretty bad, all right. But nonetheless, I'm fairly confident a revival is possible.
Several of the problems that you see on this deck, the popping nails, the cracks on the surfaces of the board, the twisting lumber, are caused by the wood getting wet, soaking up water, expanding, and then drying out and contracting. That continual movement, expansion and contraction, causes almost all of these problems. And the way to prevent it is to make sure that you put a good sealer on your deck every year or two.
But our first step is to fix those twisted planks, and we begin by removing the old nails. I drive the prongs of a nail puller beneath the heads, and then Andretta pries them out with the other end. Next, we'll try to straighten out those boards.
Now this is my high-tech deck board straightening tool right here. What I've done is taken a 2x4, cut a notch out of it, and this is how it's going to work, I hope. This slips right over the end of the twisted 2x4 like this.
Oh, that's a great idea. Andretta would have never thought of that.
Oh, I don't know. I bet you might have.
No, I wouldn't have.
Want to give it a push? See if it works?
Yes.
That should straighten that board right up.
Oh, that's great.
Kenneth reattaches the problem plank with 5/8 screws, which create a stronger grip than nails. The real advantage to fixing this board rather than replacing it is that we won't wind up with a strip of new lumber that doesn't match the rest of the deck.
There we go,
I can feel, yes.
What about that?
Great
Perfect.
idea.
Perfect.
I
Such
can't
a
wait.
simple solution to what was a big problem for
You know, we
us.
would have went to the store and bought all kinds of contraptions, and it probably wouldn't have worked as easy as this.
With the twisted board straightened out, we turn our attention to those popping nails. The ones we can grip with a nail puller, we remove, replacing them with nails that are thicker and slightly longer for better holding power. For the nails that are nearly flush with the surface, we use a drift punch to countersink them slightly. A few of these old boards, though, just won't lie flat and require a bit of encouragement from Kenneth.
This is called trust. Do you trust me?
Or potential lawsuit.
Uh-oh.
With all the nails driven in, we're ready to clean the deck with a deck wash and brightener made just for the purpose. We pour the solution into a garden sprayer and I wet the deck thoroughly. Kenneth and Andretta follow behind, lightly scrubbing. But it's the chemicals that are really doing most of the work, loosening the accumulated dirt and bleaching out stains and discolorations. After about 15 minutes, we begin rinsing off the cleaning and bleaching solution using a pressure washer that connects to a garden hose and boosts household water pressure by about 15 times. The high-pressure water produces a scrubbing effect as it rinses off the chemicals. To see just how well the deck is responding, we stop midway and make a comparison.
Now see, here's your old board right here.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's the new board with the deck wash and the power sprayer.
Yes.
And you can see none of this is hard work.
No, it isn't.
Well, enough admiring our progress. We refill the garden sprayer and go back to work. After the cleaning is complete and the surface dry, it's becoming clear the deck that was once presumed ready for the kindling pile is well on its way to a comeback.
Clean,
It's beautiful.
it's bright,
Yes.
it's ready for a little sealer.
It looks really, really great.
Would you believe this was underneath all
No.
that?
Our next step is to refill the garden sprayer, this time with a deck sealer that will help restore the wood's color and protect it from weathering.
All right, guys. Now, what we want to try to do here is keep this maybe about a foot or so away from the deck and move it back and forth in a nice, even motion like that.
Keeping the sprayer head a consistent distance from the surface will ensure a uniform coating. This sealer goes on milky, but it dries clear. The main purpose of a sealer is to slow down the rate at which the wood absorbs water and greatly reduce the expansion and contraction that caused most of this cracking and nail popping.
Couldn't be easier, huh?
This goes on great.
Now, this product, given your conditions here, will probably seal your deck for 1 to 2 years.
It's just amazing how quickly you can apply sealer with a garden sprayer. Before we know it, we're finished.
Didn't even take us 20 minutes to do this whole deck.
No. We have no excuse now not to maintain it.
Did you say that?
Yes, I did.
It's always so much better when it comes from you. Than me.
The deck sealer needs to dry for several hours before getting any foot traffic, and overnight before we can replace the furniture. But that doesn't keep us from admiring our success from a distance.
I gotta tell you, I feel like we've gone back in time. I mean, this deck probably looks like it did pretty much the day it was put down.
I've never seen it
Yes.
look like this.
Yeah, it was here when you bought the house, right?
It was here
Yes,
when
but
we bought the
it
house.
never looked this good.
And it was pretty easy, too.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a little work, but it was a lot easier than I would have ever thought it would have been.
Good. Glad to hear that.
It looks great.
Because this isn't the real reason Andretta had me come here. This was your trial project. And now that you found it so easy, the real job is this fence that runs all the way around the property here.
All the way around. Cool.
Cool, huh? Can you do it with Dad now?
Yeah.
Now, honestly, when you first saw this deck, did you think it could turn out this well? You know, there's a lot of satisfaction in restoring things. Oftentimes, you find renewed beauty just beneath the surface. How appropriate to rediscover that here in New Orleans, where people know the value of restoring the past. You know, if I've got a nice piece of artwork that I want framed, I'm going to take it to a professional. But there are times when I want a very simple frame around the bulletin board or something for the kids' room. In that case, I just cut out the frame stock on the table saw. Now, the trickiest part to making a frame like this is actually attaching it together. First, I lay out the 4 sides of my frame on a flat surface. Then flip the sections over so the miters are facing up. Yellow woodworker's glue is a good choice for this job. I put a little in a plastic bottom I've cut from a water bottle. Then brush the glue on the face of the miter joints and press them together. Now here's the tool that makes the clamping part of this job really simple. It's called a band clamp. It consists of a clamp base and a long nylon strap threaded through plastic brackets that fit over the frame corners. I remove the slack from the strap by pulling it through a slot on the base and tightening the lock. As I turn the screw, the band clamp tightens evenly on all 4 corners, pulling the joints together. Finally, I double check to make sure everything is square. So, if you've got the right tool, in this case the band clamp, putting a frame together like this is a snap.
To view today's projects again, visit ronhazelton.com, where you'll find hundreds of how-to videos available 24/7. Free home improvement videos online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.